first question, man. Colfax Marathon this year, 20-year anniversary for the race. So my first question, can I run the race with an oxygen tank?
No, see, the secret in Colorado is with altitude is you just have to suck the air in. You just have to, it's kind of like humidity, but reverse. Humidity is really thick. Here it's really thin. So you just got to just take a deeper breath. You'll be fine.
Okay, gotcha. Just like vacuum it up in before. Get my lungs
Well,
filled.
we should look, Lonnie. I mean, how many oxygen bars are on the course and see, which is funny because when I moved to Colorado, people are like, oh, let's go to the oxygen bar. And I'm like, what is that? And like, oh, no, it's a bar. You sit up at the bar and you inhale oxygen. And I was like, wow, somebody thought to open a business like that. That's amazing. And
Yeah,
so,
I also not to crap on Colorado because I do love Colorado. It's beautiful. It's such a Denver is such an amazing city. But if you need an oxygen bar, like that's crazy. Like
But here's the thing though. I've only ever seen in places outside Colorado, Vegas, other areas like that, where there's more smoke and stuff like that, where you need the oxygen because it's all filled with smoky rooms.
right.
But yeah, the true secret to Denver is yeah, you'll probably run a little bit, maybe just a bit slower. You'll feel the altitude a little bit, but we're not throwing you up over huge mountains or anything like that.
Totally.
So that's the good
Totally.
news.
It definitely better than Vegas. I feel like you hop off the plane in Vegas and they hand you a pack of cigarettes and an oxygen tank, and you're like, I don't have breathing problems, and they're like, brother, you're gonna. Here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, especially, cigarettes and an oxygen tank at the same time. So then you're really rolling the dice there. You're playing craps for sure.
Yeah, don't light it too close because they're like, look, we're giving you a weapon, but we trust you. You seem reliable.
I mean, come on, you've got the 78-year-old grandma sitting at the pulling the slot machine, chain smoking like crazy while oxygen going at the same time. I mean, it's just part of the thing, part of the fun, part of the
Part of
risk.
the Yeah,
experience.
it's like if you go there and you don't get crabs, did you really go there? All right, sorry, maybe too far for this call, but all right, sorry. As I said it, I'm like they're professionals. Don't be doing this, but I had to, man. But you're laughing, so it's okay. I get a pass. So I yeah, actually, like we're joking around about the altitude, but I would love to hear because your race is huge, right? 20, I think it's 26,000 runners running this year, ballpark
Yeah.
Yep.
about,
Well,
right?
Yep.
And so definitely like a lot of people in Colorado, but people also traveling in for the race. Um, how do people tend to deal with the altitude? Like, do you guys have like resources or recommendations? Like in the past, how have people dealt with that? Like, because I know myself, right? Just to give context, I did a race up in Breckenridge, which is much higher than Denver, and but I got there I like passed out the first race. So like obviously I don't think that'll happen in Denver, but like what are like some good recommendations for people traveling in?
yeah, Alex, you run all the time. You got some stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, get here as soon as you can. I think for resources, Visit Denver has some great resources. They're, kind of the Denver Tourism Board, and they're great. But I mean, it's, stay hydrated. Um, if you're a lightweight drunk, uh, you may want to go easy on the alcohol before the race. I think there's rules like, right, even alcohol, like drink half of what you think you normally do, right? Because it just affects your bloodstream just a lot faster. But it's really, I think it's just, staying hydrated is a big part of it and just keeping the body like well oiled and fueled to be able to run through it. And yes, you will probably, again, depend, everybody's so different, right? I've seen people come up from Boston be completely fine. Other people come up and just be like, head spinning, a little dizzy, harder to breathe. But again, it's, everybody's a little bit different and just know what's happening to you is, you know, not unusual. Um, so yeah, so I mean, I think the sooner you can get and acclimate, to the altitude helps, and then again the hydration piece. But yeah, we have wonderful medical team on course. So
Not that they'll need it. They definitely won't need it, but
not that
if
you
they
need it.
did, it's there.
Yeah.
Somebody
Right on,
somebody's
man.
there, and I think it's great too, and this, right, in the running community, we all look out for each other,
Hmm.
and we've seen that too, just on the course, at the expo, everywhere. Like, everybody's just cares about each other and like is watching out for each other. And so, if you feel it's the airport, right? See something, say something. I feel
Mhm.
like it's you feel something, say something,
Definitely.
tell somebody that you're getting dizzy or you're
Right.
again, or it might be your stomach gets upset because your stomach doesn't, your stomach might be working a little bit harder
Sure.
because, it doesn't have all that oxygen. Same with fuel. What you ate at sea level might not be working on the course at a mile high. And it's just all that kind of experimenting and which real all running is. It's just constant like experimenting with yourself and trying
Totally.
new things. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's I don't know, Lonnie, if you had any other
Yeah.
thoughts.
Well, I think the key there then is just, if you're not at altitude and you're training, just find a hyperbaric chamber or something like that to lower the
Or run
oxygen
with
so you
those
can kind of
masks. I've seen the
exactly.
masks
So you can
like
get a
they
little bit used to that. No, I mean, Alex is right. The big thing is hydration. The good news is that, this is Denver. Denver is, if you're not from the area, something like that, Denver lays at the foothills. You're not running through mountains or anything like that. Yeah, there's some hills and things like that, but we're not running up mountains. We're not going 1,000 feet of elevation gain in a short time frame or anything like that. So you'll feel a little bit sleep, hydration. Those are the most important things. If you get here a couple days early, 2, 3, 4 days early, that's great. Enjoy the Mile High City. Take it easy, but hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I would definitely, like Alex said, stay away from alcohol. It'll affect you differently at altitude. Maybe after the event, that's great. Have that beer. You only need about half a beer to a beer. You'll be wonderful. After that. But no, the reality is, it's mostly flat. You'll be fine. You'll be a little bit slower. And the thing is, like with all races, you get to build up the excitement of the day. It'll carry you through part of the way, but try to go, this is even more so, just probably go out just a little bit slower if you're not acclimated to altitude, because you'll feel it'll hit you a little bit harder and exhaust you a little bit quicker. But, 99% of the people are totally fine.
Totally, totally. I think to just like enjoy the experience. Like you're getting to run this really cool, like Denver is the city of Colorado. Like you get to run all through it. It's such a fun race and just enjoy the experience. And I think, like you both said, like it just rang true to me in my own experience running out in Colorado a couple of times. Like if you get there the night before, like yeah, you're gonna be feeling rough. Just get out a day or two early if you can. Let yourself get rested, kind of get used to it, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, and there's plenty to do. I mean, as you know, right? I mean, I think what we have like 7 concert venues and theaters. Plus, you can go hiking. I don't know how many breweries we're up to now, beyond anybody can count. But even if you don't go for the alcohol, they have plenty of great. A lot of our local breweries have great NA beers as well. But it's just such a great city just to walk around and explore, and I think that helps too. Is like walking and getting your body kind of like don't jump in the car and go 100. Jump in the car and do that grandma Sunday drive. Just kind of take the casual trip around downtown and
Right.
just kind of ease into it. But I think and it's fun, right? I mean, destination races, you get to explore a city from the middle of the street. Like what other sport or event or travel do you get to do that? So take advantage of exploring new places on your feet because you've trained and obviously you can. So yeah,
Yeah, totally. Like the best way to see any city, especially, is just on foot. Like you're gonna get to see way more. You're gonna get to dive into parks a lot easier.
yep,
If you see somebody veer off the road and start driving into a park, run
yeah,
because that
you're
person
in
is
trouble.
yeah.
Yeah.
In just kind of like diving into your race, trying to like get ready for our call, I saw one thing that really stood out to me that I thought looked so cool. Um, you do a public school teachers relay.
Mm.
I would love to hear about that. Like, kind of what is it? How did it get started? That I mean, I'm still friends with some of my high school teachers. I went to public school and like just a lot of love for that. I don't think I've heard of a race doing something like that. So that's really freaking cool.
Yeah, well, it kind of all come is part of our whole relay marathon program, and this is really part because the event itself is a nonprofit, and our thing is to the money that goes into back into charities. So you become a charity partner. We have usually about 150 charity partners, a lot of it local charities and anything very small nonprofits to large nonprofits. And saying that is then we not only do we have like the public school teacher challenge and stuff on the relay, but really we have all these different divisions. I forget how many it is. It's an enormous amount of different divisions. We've got corporate divisions, firefighter divisions, government cup divisions, all this stuff. And even within that, we have the subsets of of, the teachers. We've got the accounting team, the engineering team. Believe it or not, the accountants tend to be really fast because they're cooped up in little offices trying to account for numbers all day, so they get let out of their cages. But when they do the relay, and this is also a great thing too, like for kind of saying the relay is if you're nervous about a marathon but you want to experience the course, get a team together. That's the fun thing about the event is you've got a distance for everybody in every style. So maybe a marathon is too much to tackle, or even a half marathon. We've got the Urban 10, we've got the relay. Get a group of five people together, do the relay, different legs, there are five different legs on that. But then the cool thing is then the relay based on how you finish. And we usually award prize money, if you will, from first place. Sometimes, Alex, I think we've gone as deep as like fourth or fifth place, depending upon how things work out. And then in June, we have this enormous, wonderful awards ceremony where we award the relay teams their prize. But what their prize money is doing is that it's actually they're donating that prize money back to one of the charity partners. And the charity partners, we usually are donating over $150,000 to these local charities, which is great. So that's why I kind of like we have all these fun divisions. We have fun awards with it. I mean, I think seriously, like going back to the accountant, and I'm going to pick on the accountants because I used to be a CPA, is that, we have like their trophy is a 10 key. We've got the engineering team. I don't even know what we give them, but I think we even have like a street sign for like the governmental divisions and things like that.
With the
That's
legal
the horse we take
the
because
legal
it's like
division.
3 feet tall.
Whose gavel is it? Like they took a gavel and they bronzed a gavel, and that goes to like the legal division. So we have groups of lawyers, like teams of lawyers are out there running, in the chorus, and it's fun, right? Because we say like, yeah, you win this big check, and it is. It's like one of those big checks you see like on TV. Like is the whole Publishers Clearinghouse still a thing? I don't know, right? When they go up to the door with the big check. And so like they get the big check, but then they have to hand it right to a charity right there on stage, right? And so it's a great way to run and give back and choose and every runner when you go and register, you can choose a charity to represent and run. Which is great too because we all need a little extra karma on running day. Put those chips
Right.
in the bank. Um,
Right. I usually personally try to select the Cheetah Wildlife Fund group, so hoping that'll give me a little extra speed.
a little extra push. Yes, yes, and hope that they don't get out at the zoo.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you just pretend like one is behind you the whole time. And you're like, well,
All
if
mental.
if it isn't the altitude, it's going to be the cheetah. So I got to keep moving.
You just
Yeah, I
can't be
can't
last.
breathe, but I better damn well run fast because otherwise I'm going to get eaten.
Yes, that's a brilliant technique. I love it.
But
Yeah, no,
the teacher thing's great, right? I mean, we've seen so not only they win money from us, but a lot will use that as kind of like their spring jogathon. And so they'll, get parents to donate money to the PTO, as part of a relay team. And we've seen a school like build a computer lab. I think it was the Arvada, school, whatever.
Mhm.
Like they raised enough money to like bring in new technology equipment for the school. And so, I think that's the big thing. We're a nonprofit helping nonprofit. How do we grow and make the community better through this event? And that's, I think community has been our big focus and word. Like every year we're like, hey, what are we about? We're like, it just comes back to community, whether it's the organizations, whether it's the individual runner, I think it is great. And, I think active people are happier people. And that's
Yeah.
that's close to a Legally Blonde quote. But but
Well, yeah,
I
but
love it.
yeah. Alex brings up a really good point on the community piece of it too, because with charity programs, it can be really hard. You want to do something really good and allow charities an opportunity to have fundraising and with large scale marathons that have give backs and fundraising and giving to charities. And we look at like how can we be most effective with the funds that are raised? Do we select a charity or charity two we're donating to? And really the program is that any charity can, as long as they're 501(c)(3, can be a charity partner. And as Alex said, anyone can select them to be part of their charity. You don't necessarily have to fundraise for them, but you're kind of part of that. You can do the relay to help maybe win some money for them and give it back to the awards thing, but also gives these charities also a platform then to fundraise, and that's kind of outside the marathon. We set them, we direct them and they can use any fundraising platform they want. But of course, we do have some partner ones. And, there's some really small nonprofits that couldn't afford to put on their own fundraising event, but they can use Colfax to fundraise so they can bring in those additional funds. And they can do things, in the different programs that we even have with our volunteers. If you get a group of volunteers together And yeah, it changes a little bit every year, but let's just say you get a group of 10 volunteers and are helping out a water station, then we're going to make a donation to that charity as well, for them bringing in volunteers. So we really make this about trying to impact the community. And the fun thing too is then these volunteer groups and with the relay stuff, some of these people, yeah, it might be the teachers or the teacher gets some friends involved, but they're getting exposed to these different charities too, that they are probably going to hopefully support in the future with different ways because we all hear the big ones, but we don't realize all the little small charities that sometimes don't get the recognition and know that they're really the good that they're doing out in the communities. And they're vital to that. And they need the funds equally as important as our American Heart Association does. And so it's really cool to kind of make those connections too and those introductions.
Absolutely. Are the small charities typically local to Denver as well?
Yep.
Awesome. So I like that because you get, like you said, you get kind of like the bigger ones, like the overarching ones, but then you also just have that, again, that community feel that's driving back to benefit the people that live in the city. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out to me that kind of pivoting a little bit, but I'm kind of a nerd for like race specifics and like cool things you get to see on the race. And I didn't know this about Denver in general, but I didn't know that you included it in your race either. It features the longest main street in America. Is that
Yes.
true? I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How long is it?
It is probably close to 30 miles if you go all the way down Colfax. So
Jeez.
the interesting thing about Colfax, when it first started, and this is our 20th running of the event, so big celebration here that we coming up this May. But the interesting thing about it is the longest business zone continuous road in America. So it's almost 30 miles. Starts east way out in Aurora, which is another city. It goes through all the way through Denver and into Lakewood out west, all the way to the mountains. But it's got a rich history. Here's kind of some fun things. Alex might know some more since he does all the social media on some of the history of it. But Bob Dylan, for example, used to play in nightclubs, getting his start on Colfax and stuff. So there's a rich history there. When we first started out, we're like, this would be great. We're going to take everybody all the way from Aurora and run them straight down Colfax to the finish line at the mountains. Some people loved it, 90% of people didn't, because it is like it's like mountains are a funny thing. Until you get close to them, you see them and you never get close to them. So it's kind of like it's like if we stuck everybody on a treadmill and said, okay, your finish line is 26 miles away, but we're going to keep you on this treadmill for 25 miles of it, and then we'll move you up at the end thing. Like it never feels like you get there, but now Colfax Marathon is the urban tour. Yes, there's parts of it that go down Colfax, but you get to go for the half marathon. We go through the zoo. For the marathon, you get to go through the stadium twice, the Empower Field. Hopefully, the Broncos do really good and we have some fun with that. You're going into some really cool neighborhoods. You get to see some of the history. We've got a lot of iconic, as Alex said, venues, concert venues. You're going to pass some of those. You're going to pass some really beautiful scenery areas going along the Cherry Creek path that goes through splits across Denver. So it's much more now that you get to go through the fire department. How many people get to run through an active running at fire department early in the morning and stuff? So some really cool things that we do.
Yeah, that's so cool. I again, I'm just a nerd for like cool. That's why marathons especially are so cool to get to do in a major city because you get to see all these like little historic. I mean, in this case, it's big, but still, like you wouldn't know that necessarily if you were just traveling to Denver for whatever. Like you get to see all these different places and things, and um, yeah, I do applaud you for not making the whole race one straight shot down Main Street, but um,
Logistically, that's challenging if you've ever run a point-to-point race anywhere. Like,
yeah, I
because you're thinking like, where do I park? Start, finish, how do I get back to the cart right? All of that. So yeah,
yeah.
the tour of being able to start and finish in the same place has it's one less thing logistically that you have to think about.
Plus shutting down all of Main Street for like 6 to 7 hours. I'm sure the Denver community wouldn't love it, but they'd be supported for like the first hour or two, and then they'd be like, Jesus Christ, I gotta get to work. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, generally those people don't know there's a race happening until they wake up running 15 minutes late for work. And
That's
then they
right.
find out that's the unfortunate. But again, we work with the police departments year round. I think what do we employ every officer that wants to work like in a
Yeah,
50 mile
pretty much.
radius?
The
Man,
infrastructure, and that's interesting. The industry of infrastructure on something like this is, and it's any major marathon has a huge infrastructure, but it just, people really probably don't have any clue that, to pull off something like this, it's not like, okay, we shut down a few streets, run everybody down, and it's all good. It takes because we run through different cities, it takes a lot of coordination between them, their Department of Transportations, their police departments to make sure safety is a concern, medical, all that, the different hospitals, but Denver, we're probably close to 250 officers, and Lakewood, we're probably close to 150. So right there, that's 400 officers. We have close to another 300 security teams that are out there. Add on another 250 staff, and then upwards of 1,000 plus volunteers. So it's a mini city in itself just to do the event. It's pretty wild.
that's so rad. Oh my goodness. So I speaking of employment, I would love to hear both of your journeys, how you ended up at Colfax, ended up at the organization putting on the race and other races. I just people's journey is always I'm enamored by it.
Mine, yeah, I don't, you want me to go first? So I
Go for it,
mean,
Ax.
yeah, so kind of back in 2012, um, we started an ambassador program. So Richard Klasky, who's still involved with our race today, started an ambassador program. Said, hey, it'd be great to get some people who are already posting about running. Again, this is like a whole novel idea, 13, 14 years ago. The idea of having just kind of like runners just promote a particular event. So I came on as an ambassador, and after a few years, the race staff started finding out I had a low background in marketing and a low background in tech, and slowly but surely started getting a little bit more responsibility every year. And then I think it was around 2016 took over kind of all of our social media marketing, all of our emails that people get, the whole race day coverage. And then it has just grown, from there. Ambassador program now 30 runners from, we have one in Mexico City. They're from out of state, they're from within state. So really to be able to promote Colorado running in Denver. And then even we've been live streaming on race day as well, which is always fun to see who's getting up at 6 a.m. to watch the start in the dark of, of a major marathon.
That's
Um, but you see that with every other major, right? So we continue to grow and just kind of listen to the feedback. But yeah, and so and I've been running. My first marathon was in 2009, first ultra 2011, and then yeah, just I think it's important, anybody who puts on an event, I think it's important. Lonnie travels all over the world, country, going to events, doing operations and speaking and everything. But I think it's important that those putting on an event need to stay connected to other events so we can stay connected to runners and understand what is it that people want? Do people not want shirts? Do they want hats now? Whatever it is, there's definitely always the things that are trends and coming up. So I think I love it. I just like the people. And again, I think it's the whole, everybody just wants to see each other succeed in the running community. Um, and I've witnessed it on course. I've made great friends in the middle of a marathon that I still to this day keep in touch with that like all the things in the universe that had to happen for me to run into that person at mile 22, where we were both struggling and we're able to like connect and immediately have that conversation. For that to carry on with a friend now who lives on the other side of the country, but we still stay in touch. We hear those stories, and that's what I think really excites me about this event is like we hear that every year. I stand at the finish line, for like 6 hours and just watch that. Like people come across and they're high-fiving. You would think that they were best friends since childhood, but then you listen to them like, what was your name again? And I'm like, you guys didn't know each other like before today? Like
right.
like the bonds and everything. And so that's what I get excited about, and that's why I love being on the marketing side, being able to try to find those stories and just like it's so much more than running. It's so much more than running. And I get it. I always running is basically like running a marathon is your entire like life, like in 26.2 miles. It's you start out all excited but a little nervous. The first few miles you're like high-fiving, talking. Then it gets quiet. And then you start to like question life decisions. Then you hurts, but you figure out how to keep moving forward. And then you cross that finish line and you're super excited. It's this whole like you just go through an entire life of emotions in a marathon. And I love hearing that story and being able to help kind of get that out there and try to get more people to experience those.
Man,
Especially now, like as the kids
Yeah.
say, go touch grass. But but
that's
I
a
hate
very
all my
Denver kid thing, by the way. All the Denver kids are like, "Go hike in the mountains." What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
exactly.
Meanwhile, I'm in DC, like there's no fucking
There
mountains
is
here.
no grass in
Yeah,
DC.
yeah. I also not to your metaphor was spot on and it's perfect and it's beautiful, but I couldn't help but think like, yeah, and by the end, you're crapping your pants because you're just like, oh my god, just let me finish.
Yeah.
Right. But then you get to the finish line and you forget all of that.
You forget it because it's
All
done,
is
and you're
gone.
like, I feel
Yeah.
great. I'll just change my pants real quick, and we're good.
Yeah.
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 You, you
Yeah,
you might remember it for like a couple minutes as you get across the finish line, but then the euphoria
yeah.
hits
That's all.
and then
And
you're
your love,
setting up
your
for your next race.
yeah, and your loved ones might take away your keys because they're like, look, you're exhausted. You can't be driving right now. But
Yes. I've had that thought too after a marathon or longer race. Like if I could I walk a straight line right now? Like
yeah,
could I actually like my leg is cramped up. I don't think I could walk a line. Like I don't know if
yeah.
I'd pass that test.
Oh man.
My entry into the event world, it's interesting. Anyone that you talk to that's in the event world probably never got, went to school and said, yeah, I'm going to do run rate, I'm going to do endurance events and work in that industry and stuff. They all fell into it, figuratively and literally, one way or another. And I can say for my founding story into this world was kids. I have identical twin daughters who are now 22, and they were actually when we were pregnant with them, they had a fetal anomaly and they were saved by doing in utero surgery, so they're okay. And when we went through that particular experience, like a lot of people do, it's like, hey, let's put on a 5K. Let's make some money. Let's raise some money. We'll do a 5K. And famous last words on that because I was like, well, this is deals with kids. We'll have thousands of people. We'll be the next biggest thing since COVID. How hard can it be? When you say the words, how hard can it be? That's when nature goes and God goes, here, hold my beer. I'm going to smack you upside the head a few times because, yeah, it's 8,000 moving parts. Year one, I can say we were successful in our first race because my wife didn't divorce me after the fact. I mean, it was like, I was completely, yeah, I was nutso. But the Tommy, that launched into that creating an international foundation that deals with all fetal syndromatic issues. What are syndromatic issues? Probably the most common thing publicly people have heard is like spina bifida. That was one trajectory. But the other trajectory is that okay, now we had this event and doing it once a year. My wife and I got into running late. Our first marathon, by the way, was Disney. So not only did we meet at Disney, we ran our first marathon at Disney. So, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But before Goofy Challenge, there was the Dopey Challenge. Before Dopey, there was the Goofy Challenge. We did that. We were one of those crazy people. But running really, they kind of made us fall in love with running and the running community. I got more involved with it. Ended up meeting I kind of consider him one of the chairman of the boards, like Frank Sinatra was to the entertainment industry and music, Creed Kelly. And Creed Kelly was one of these people, he's in his 70s now, but he was iconic. He's done everything in the running industry, and there isn't probably many races across the United States that his hand or his legacy isn't touched it some way or some form. We're fortunate that he was part of Colorado. He helped create the Colfax Marathon. He was our event company when I started this race. I wanted to learn as much as possible. So I kind of hooked onto him and he kind of took me under the wing and really started mentoring me on how to really do things. And I learned, I just absorbed stuff. Having that Disney background, I knew that I wanted to create experiences, not necessarily just put a start line and a finish line for people and give them a banana. Thought there was a really good opportunity there. And from that, I got involved with our trade industry organization, which is called Running USA. Became a volunteer board member for 15 years. I understood finances again, the CPA nerdiness part of me. I could never get out of doing treasury, so they even changed the bylaws a few times because I would term out and they're like, wait a minute, nobody else wants to do finances, so you're going to be stuck with us. But I got to meet so many industry people, as Alex said, not only from the standpoint of the runners that you meet, but the industry people. Everyone comes from all walks of life and how they love this sport and what they give to it. And because of Cree, he helped start Colfax Marathon. And then I got involved I've been part of it since the inception. in different roles. And for about 15, 16 of its years, I was actually the voice of the marathon. And then through all the being the voice, but also I had House Sports, which stands for Healthy Active Living, and we do the production side of stuff. So we were doing small parts that increased, and then Cree decided to retire somewhat. He decided to retire as race director, and a couple years ago, I got the keys to be race director, and I gave him the microphone, so now he does the announcing. But that was kind of the journey. So when they say kids change your life, mine really did. And there you go. But Alex is right. The stories, from the marketing side of it, what I miss, race director, I'm involved logistically all day, and I try to take a little bit of time out to meet people and stuff. But I do miss the announcing standpoint because you got to hear these amazing stories and bring them to life. I always say that when you're running an event, you're there to unfold your story. And it's kind of like it's your chapter. You're kind of telling your story. And whether you share that with people publicly and you scream it from the mountaintops or you kind of keep it internally, it's such a powerful moment for people. And it really, one of my favorite things that I came up saying is the finish line is never the end, it's the beginning of what's possible. So Alex talks about crossing the finish line. It really empowers people when you do one of those events, whether it's the marathon, the half marathon, the relay, the urban 10, those type of things. It doesn't really matter the distance. If it's a goal for you and you finish that, it's really powerful, those stories. And everybody is there for a different reason. They might be there for a charity. They might be there because they have a loved one that they lost and they're paying honor to them. They could be, we've had people who are actively fighting cancer and had, they've taken radiation that week, and it's like, what the hell did you do today? Like this person just had radiation
Yeah.
2 days ago and they're out there running a marathon
Amazing.
because they're gonna live life to its fullest. So you cannot walk away if you're not wanting to run, come volunteer and be at that finish line and see the power of the people that are doing it. I think a lot of people that may not be associated with running all the time might think about it's these Olympic athletes that there's 25,000 Olympic athletes running down the streets of Denver. No, 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 no. That's a very small portion of that. It is everyday people with amazing stories, overcoming amazing odds. I mean, heck, how many of us have full-time jobs and we're trying to train for a marathon and we're getting up at 4 a.m. to do our training run because we're nutso, but we're doing it because it's something that empowers us. It's awesome.
Dan, I love it. I don't know that I could have tried to come up with a better ending to this episode other than that. So I think we should just call it there because that was poetic and beautiful. I teared up a few times. That
I
was
wrote some
great,
things
dude.
down. I was
You,
writing them like, oh wow, race
I
day
know.
is
It's like,
telling your
oh shit, this
race
guy.
day
I
is
gotta.
telling your story. I'm gonna
I,
be
I
writing
want
that
to
one
hire
down.
you just to bring you around with me because I feel like you give amazing pep talks. That was beautiful, dude. There's no better way we can end it. So, hang out once I'm just gonna end the episode. But thank you guys so much for joining. I'm so excited for you guys for the race. I hope I can make it out there. And yeah, thank you guys for taking the time.